For those that don't know, the Greater Sacramento Economic Council is a public-private organization. We are made up of 20 communities and about 45 CEOs, and then 7 public sector or civic member organizations. So we were founded in 2015. Citrus Heights was one of our original community members, and we thank you for your ongoing 7 years of support. And we represent the region, so we are trying to, how do we advance, grow the regional economy and brand and increase the reputation of the Greater Sacramento region. And we're doing that because everybody's region is interconnected. So one community success begets everybody else's success in the region. There he goes. So in our region, no more than really only 1 or 2 communities have more than 25% of their economy where people live and work within their community. So when a new company comes into any community, whether it be Citrus Heights or Folsom or Davis or Yuba City, their people work throughout the region. Their support staff, their suppliers are throughout the region. They're the ones that go out and shop. So that multiplier effect grows and supports the region as a whole. So that's why it's so important to think about your economy on a regional level, not just on an individual level as well. And that is the work that we are tirelessly doing. We show up first thing in the morning excited to do it and go home tired and look forward to doing it the next day. So we were founded back in 2015 after the Great Recession. And if you remember the Great Recession, the Greater Sacramento region was the last major economy in California to recover and one of the last in the country. And we are thrilled to say that we have recovered all the jobs in the region as of May. We were the second economy in California to do that. It's the first time in 20 years, and honestly, it would have been longer, but the Greater Sacramento region didn't really see a downturn in the dot-com bust. But when we look at it nationally, when you look at your top 300 MSAs, we were number 13. We were one of the fastest to come out. So that's what we were chartered to do. We were very proud of that, but we can't do that without every individual support and every community, every business, agreeing that a strong, robust regional economy is what's good for business at the local level. And so as we are possibly going into another recession, and that's for other economists to be thinking about, making sure that we've recovered all those jobs is important. Those communities that haven't recovered are going to be in a much worse situation. So, but we're not going to rest on our laurels. We are going to continue to, continue to go and advance. So if I can get the next slide, because I am not making this clicker work. There we go. So over the past 7 years, we have attracted close to or over 10,000 jobs, supporting another 14,000 in the regional economy. So directly impacting over 24,000 jobs, either coming in or being supported in the region. 88 companies, and we've got about another 5 or 6 looking to close here in the next 90 days. So we're confident that's going to be well over 100 new companies into the region, by the holiday season. Fiscal impact, meaning the tax dollars flowing to all of our 20 municipal partners, over 130 million, and an economic impact of 8.2 billion that it gets stratified again across that entire region. So some of our highlights and some of the things that we focused on, during this calendar year as we're starting to get back into person. We have had our second best year in our history, and if we look at kind of our lead generation, our partnership, I would argue this probably was our best year when you look at both our tangible, intangible, quantitative, and qualitative. So over 3,000 jobs and an average wage of those new jobs of over $140,000. So when you think about the economic multiplier effect of people going to bars, restaurants, breweries, salons, they're going to have that disposable income to be able to do it. So that coming in through the semiconductor industry, and that's an area we have a really strong core competency, and we're expecting to see a lot of activity coming here, not only in the next year, but over the next several, especially as the Senate or the U.S. Congress has recently passed the CHIPS Act. This was another banner year for us. So we have always been strived to be a best-in-class economic development organization. So part of that is having best-in-class partners, but let me try to go back here. But won 3 awards. Our talent development won a bronze award, and 2 of our marketing programs. So Next Out West, talking about all the advantages of living and being in the Greater Sacramento region. Both those one took a bronze and one took a gold. So the IEDC is the one who certified Megan as a top-level economic developer. Also said that we're doing top-level stuff, and we know we're going to be adding that trophy case come here in September. So again, everything we try to do is best in class, and that's how we prove it is by making sure that we benchmark ourselves against other communities across the nation, and then prove it by bringing home the hardware. So as part of what we do to drive our brand reputation, so the first time since 2019, we brought out site selectors. So these individuals are people who help companies make corporate relocation decisions. They control anywhere between 40 to 50% of the corporate relocation decisions across the country. So, we interface with these individuals greatly. But I told the team I wanted 10, we got 9. We would have had 11, but we had one whose flight surprisingly got canceled. And the other one, unfortunately, had a passing in the family. But we spent 2 days educating them on the value proposition of being in the Greater Sacramento region. So in their line of work, there's kind of an old adage of the ABCs, the site selection was anywhere but California, proving that this region is the California option and that we can take the Pepsi challenge and provide a very thoughtful and concise way to do business and compare very well against all of our Western counterparts. So Megan moderated our final panel, as you can see here in the bottom left-hand corner. So and did a great job with our couple, the two that agreed to be on the panel. And the one up there, Laura said, of like, I've never really brought up Sacramento or the region to one of my clients, but I'll definitely be doing so now, which is the type of feedback we want to get. The other panel, bringing our workforce groups together, and one of the feedback that I took a lot of value was, it's clearly you individuals actually know each other. I've done these and seen these panels where they're introducing themselves as they sit down, which really goes to the collaborative nature of our region. And then our momentum campaign. So again, as we're always trying to spread the gospel of the Greater Sacramento region, we rolled this out at our annual celebration and talking about all the great things that are happening in the Greater Sacramento region, from Aggie Square to the CMC, to all the different development opportunities, graduates, et cetera, of how you can be successful in this region. As I close this out here on my last slide, we're going to be focusing not only on the great stuff we've always been doing, but really looking towards our communities as they're looking at thinking about economic development strategy. How do you create win-win performance-based economic development policies to fund growth in your community? Supporting small business and entrepreneurs as well. So bringing in companies is great, but we also need to be able to provide those same resources to our existing businesses. We meet with about 100 a year, but also how do we help those companies grow and scale and leverage the resources that are in the region, like the Northern California Innovation District, the Growth Factory, the Carlson Center, et cetera. Equity and upskilling, training, workforce, as we all know, spent 12 years in city government. Your people are your most important asset. And it's a war for talent out there. How do we help companies, find different pathways to access the best and brightest, and non-traditional pathways to find talent that they weren't looking for? And then finally, too, with a vacancy rate of in the industrial area about 3%, we need to come up with new and innovative ways to repurpose our offices and bring more buildings online. So when we go after these projects, we've got somewhere to put them. So with that is my presentation. Again, we really appreciate all of the support, the time and energy that the team of Citrus Heights is put into the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Scott. Any questions?
Okay.
Go ahead.
So,
Mike.
hi, Scott. Nice to meet you. So you're speaking my language in a lot of ways. So I cover, for my day job, I cover much of the same region that you cover. Probably the biggest thing that I hear from employers is, where do we get people? This is the labor pool issue is huge, huge, huge. I could probably fill a couple thousand jobs pretty easily here. So how does our labor pool compare to other regions? Are we in the same boat that they are? Are they, I'm talking about if you were to look at the Bay Area, if you were to look at, say, Fresno, do you have any information on how we compare, how our region from a labor pool standpoint, are we filling more jobs here in the Sacramento region than they are in Fresno or Stockton or some of the other areas?
So I'll be honest, when we benchmark ourselves, we benchmark against communities that are our size or bigger, that are aspirational. So nothing against Stockton, they do a great job down there, but when we benchmark against Denver, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Portland, Seattle. Our educational attainment is close to on par. We are one of the few communities within the state of California that's actually growing. When the state of California is shrinking by a couple 100,000, the Greater Sacramento region is growing. From the Bay Area, we're a top 4 destination of out-migrants coming from the Bay, so we're really the only spot in California, with the exception of the LA basin, of where they're looking to go as well. So there's a talent shortage. I moved to this region from Wisconsin 3 years ago. I was in Arizona before that, Michigan and DC as well. So one more state, I get a set of steak knives. But what I can tell you is the entire country is fighting for talent. Those that are winning that balance are those that are importing people, because that's one of the 2 ways you grow an economy. And how in which do you create different opportunities? So we are partnering with Accenture and the Bay Area Council on the Northern California Apprenticeship Network. So we're helping companies better access different talent pools to find talent in individuals as well. Another thing we offer to some of our smaller companies is, if you've got a talent shortage, we will help generate a pipeline of individuals. It's still in the beta testing. We are still working out the kinks. Being that it isn't something you could go buy off the shelf, we reverse engineered, which we traditionally do a lot on the data and research side. A couple different, labor analytics and recruiting tools to be able to support, especially some of those small and mid-sized businesses that are looking for individuals. So we've piloted with about 5 companies. So now that I've put it on the public record, I guess it's out there for everybody. But we have seen a little bit of success. We actually backfilled a business development project manager using the same tactics that we're providing these companies. So we could always use more individuals, and it's never going to be enough, but the individuals are out there, and especially those companies that are willing to say is, just because I've always hired college graduates or always gone to these schools, the ones that are seeing the most success are the ones that are starting to investigate non-traditional ways in which to find talent, mentor talent, grow talent, find that cultural fit, and knowing that you, within reason, I mean, you can't, if you need a CPA, you just can't do that. But by and large, for most other skill sets, if you're willing to take a little more deliberative approach, and there's great examples that we can connect you with as well that can say is, this is what's worked. And if it's worked for companies like Aon and Accenture and Zenify, it can work for a lot of other companies as well. So that's the mindset, and those are the things that we're thinking about. As Wayne Gretzky via Michael Scott said, is you skate to where the puck's going, not where the puck is. And we're doing the exact same thing when it comes to talent.
Okay. Steve, and then Jeannie.
Thank you, and thank you, Scott, for the presentation. I think Mr. Broom would have still been on the first slide.
I have no comment on that.
And I appreciate your thanking us for our support. I want to thank you for your support. Your passion comes through, and we're very excited about redevelopment of the mall property, and so we're going to lean on you.
So Megan and I were talking about that, and I think her next agenda item, I told her, I was like, assuming it passes, I've already got a couple people in mind that I want to send it to, so.
Oh, perfect. And I was just in Austin, Texas, and saw all the huge development there. They got 220 people a day moving to Austin, Texas. It was 110 degrees, 80% humidity. I don't know why anybody would live there. I was so happy to get back to cool Sacramento.
As somebody that grew up in southern Arizona, my wife's from Washington State, we kind of joke is this place is like the best part, is the less oppressive of both. The summers are hot, but the nights are nice and easy. The winters are cool like Seattle, but they're not dark and 6 months of gray. So this is, again, I've lived all over the country. This is by far the best climate I've ever lived in. But, part of it is creating, and this is something Austin has done very well, is they've created a truly authentic culture. But a lot of the underpinnings, if we were talking about Austin 25, 30 years ago, it was just, hey, great college town, but nothing else going on. We need to embrace that. UC Davis and Sac State are, putting together, and even one-on-one have a lot of the same complements that UT Austin does. But we really need to embrace what it means to be a Sacramentan and, as a region, because that's what they've done in Austin as well. Of people in Georgetown aren't saying I'm from Georgetown. They're like, I'm an Austinite. So, but embrace that, making what, they've embraced what makes them cool. And we have every opportunity between, our quality of life, or what we call the employee experience here.
And they're very well branded. But I don't know that I'd want to see that much development that quickly.
It's one of those, again, it happens, at different paces at different areas for different reasons, so.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
I just want to add my gratitude to those that's been expressed already this evening. It's been a great symbiotic relationship, and I remember when you folks first came to town, and there was a lot of questions in those days whether or not this was gonna work, and should we make this kind of an investment from our budget, but it has been well worth it and paid off in greater dividends than I ever could have imagined, so thank you.
Oh, thank you, and again, thank you for the support and
Yeah.
taking a chance but, you know, the biggest bets and the biggest chances are the ones that pay off the best. So as we're always looking to grow the economy, you know, we're never gonna bet small, so, that's something Barry does better than just about anybody I've ever met.
Yeah.
We bet big and we push all of our chips to the center.